Hello everyone, and welcome to the stream. How are we all doing today? Hello, Albionium, Lagikliotecair, Ritu, and Iakus. Welcome. Hope the sound balance is good, music isn't too loud. But yeah, good to see you all here. So, I thought I should probably start these streams with a little introduction of what the hell I'm doing, in case anyone's new. So, I'm making a space combat deck building game. And it's, so you'll build your deck by putting weapons on your ship, like these lasers and this launcher, and you'll have one-on-one space battles on the bridge of your starship with enemies, and you'll do things like this. Pew! Pew! Lasers, aren't they fun? Yes. So, one thing I've added since last time is something a little different happening with missiles. So, in the last stream I was talking about how I wanted to make the combat a bit more strategic, so you'd have more information to go on. So one way I'm going to do that is by having delayed attacks. One way that an attack is delayed is if it's a projectile. So you launch a missile. Now the animation is wrong right now, that's something I'm going to have to fix later, but that animation you saw with the thing flying into it, that's supposed to happen later, which I'm going to fix. Does the ship have Captain Decker as the commander? It probably should. That probably should. Captain Decker of the deck builder. Yes, all hands on deck for the deck building Decker, Captain Decker. Yes. But this little icon here will indicate that you have a missile in transit towards the enemy ship, and basically, when your next turn starts, the missile will get there. And this will happen the other direction as well, when the missiles will appear here. I haven't implemented that yet. But that will give you an opportunity to either shoot down the enemy missiles, or evade them, or do something, which creates a little bit more strategy in the game. There will be instant fire weapons, like the lasers you just saw, but there'll also be weapons that take a while to charge up. So, also, another thing, if I end my turn, you can see the enemy has cards now, and their evasive maneuvers didn't work because of bugs. The game's full of bugs. It's new. I'm working on it. It's a prototype. So, yeah, the enemy has cards now. That was a little tricky to implement because originally I envisioned that the only deck in the game would be the player's deck, and the only hand of cards would be the player's hand of cards. But if we take a look here in the scene, so I've got all the cards that exist in the game represented like outside the view here. Here is the player's deck. This is the card pool. This is the enemy deck. This is the player discard pile. I'm going to actually, I think, label all of these in some way, even though they're not going to be seen by the player. It'll be helpful to have them all sort of lined up in a way that I can see as I'm developing it. Now, the enemy hand is empty right now, so if I just end my turn, you can see it appear there. So, like the player, it draws a few cards and then plays the ones it can and then discards them. Right now, it's just playing. It's not playing them intelligently, it's just playing whatever it can. Let's do a shield leech. Pew! That's fun. I like that animation. So, the enemy can do a shield leech. I think it might have done it there, but it doesn't have an animation for it. That's one thing I'm going to be doing today, potentially, is adding some more animations. So, yeah, so I think that having the enemy have cards is quite useful because it allows for things like you could do something to affect your enemy's hand. Like, say you could do some kind of attack which removes a card from their hand, or you could do some kind of scan that that allows you to see what's in their hand. And if you know what's in their hand, and let's say they don't have any attacks, you know you don't need to necessarily boost your shields this round. Or if you see they do have a very powerful attack, then you could say do some evasive maneuvers. So it gives a lot of opportunity for different strategies to emerge. Deluxe Tux, welcome. Yes, Space Combat Deck Builder. Good to see you here. So, what are we going to be working on today? I've got a little agenda. I've put a little agenda together So I've shown you the enemy cards, how those work. So yeah, to put together the decks for the Captain Pick cards. Oh, that's clever. That's very clever. Yeah. It could be one of that. You could choose among different captains. Captain Pick cards would be would be quite good, and Captain Decker, of course. Yeah. So to make the enemy have a deck, there was a couple ways I could do this. My original thought was to make subclasses of the deck class, which would be the subclasses as player deck and enemy deck. But the only thing that was different in the whole class was the references to things like to other relevant classes. So there's a reference to the player's or the enemy's hand and their discard pile, which, you know, the cards are moving between all these things, so it made sense to have them connected like that. And I didn't want to have to put if statements in all the code to say if this is an enemy, use this discard pile. If it's a player, use this discard pile. That's probably the worst way to do it. But the way I decided to do it was with a little extra component. So if we go to, we have player deck here. It's got the deck script on it, and it has this script, player referencer. All this does, actually, it's a subclass of commander referencer. A commander is the player or enemy, so the commander of the ship, essentially. And all this is it's a class that simply returns a deck, a hand, discard pile, card play area, the ship, the commander, and the card count display. And the subclasses simply choose among which ones to return. So for the player subclass, it just returns all the player hand, discard pile. For the enemy one, does the same, but for the enemy. So all you need to do, all I need to do even, is have a reference to this commander referencer, a reference to the referencer, which it just detects whether there's a commander referencer on this here. So this script here will look for this script here, and then when it has that reference, it will fill in all the references with the relevant reference to the other thing. So if it's the enemy deck, the enemy deck will get references to the enemy hand, the enemy discard pile, and so on, and the same for the player. So that might be a little bit of a clunky way to do it, but it seemed to work. And it also allows me to do this with any class that has that needs this kind of references, and it means that the code can be the same. So in the deck code here, for example, let's see, something that references a thing. So no, that's not a good example. Are there any good examples? There are. Discard pile. Here we go. So there's a reference here to the discard pile. Now in here, I don't need to specify whether it's going to be the player or the enemy discard pile, because this reference is set here. So anyway, I don't know how interesting that is. I don't know whether it's worth going into all these. Simple as that, eh? Hey, Nick Sound, welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, do you want me to go over it again? Yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah, I don't know if I should go into all the details on the classes, but if you know. But anyway, so projectiles. I did talk about that a little. So if I'm gonna restart this. All the icons show before it's running. Let's wait till we get a missile. They're firing lasers. No. If only we had some defenses. Oh, we do. There's a missile. Okay, so as you can see, the shields didn't go down because even though the animation is there, which is not supposed to be there, that will change. The missile is en route. Now, if I end my turn, now watch the shields here. When my turn starts, the shield goes down. That's when that animation should play. So yeah, we have delayed attacks working, which is nice. The enemy's going to have delayed attacks as well. So that's one thing I want to work on today. Yeah, so today I'm going to work on the enemy projectiles and the missing animations. And also I want to see if I can decide how to deal with how to deal with projectiles. So things like shooting down the missiles. Yeah, or taking evasive action. I think taking evasive action is a sensible thing to have as an option. Pew. So, let's begin, shall we? So the first problem is the missile shows as launching and hitting the target when you... Greetings, cat peasant. Good to see you here. So we're just going over the... So I want the animation for the missile to appear when it takes effect, not when it's fired, essentially. Because what I want to happen is... Hang on. Come on. Oh, never the card you want when you want it. Have I used them all? They're single use, so they probably all just lost. Yeah, they're not in my deck anymore. No, there's 3 right there. Okay. Right at the bottom of my deck. Typical. Oh no, they're in the card pool. Right? That means they've been completely removed from the game, essentially. So I'll have to restart. Yeah, so the problem is the animations, as it's coded now, they all tie in to when the action is, when the card is played. So that makes sense here because we're immediately firing. But for a missile, we want this animation to happen afterwards. But in the code, let's find, where is the code? It'll be an action handler, I think. Yeah, it's in do actions. In the do actions method, we get the animation. We find if there is an animation for this action. And then if there isn't one, we just resolve the action. If there is one, we animate it immediately. So, the question is, how do we want to change this so that it doesn't animate it right away, but instead it animates it next turn? So, one simple way to do this is to sort of just have the action have a boolean, a flag of some kind, a variable that says whether it's delayed or not. And if it is delayed, then play the action at the start of the turn. I'm not keen on that because it's not very flexible. It makes it so we've just replaced one inflexible system with another. And it's a bit cumbersome because then it's doing this additional check. So maybe another way to do it is to have do action is a missed opportunity for make it so method. Yeah. You know, I would be tempted to include a make it so card, but that might be a little bit iffy, you know. In like in StarCraft, the battle cruiser guy doesn't say make it so. He says make it happen. I could do make it happen. Yeah. That's not owned. And I mean, I guess StarCraft owns that. I could do the Jellicoe thing. I could be like, get it done. Yeah. So yeah, the other way of doing this, or one other way of doing this, is having animations that a separate animation for essentially the beginning of the action and the end of the action. So like a firing animation and an impact animation. With the direct fire weapons, those will be the same thing. StarCraft quotes, you hear them so often they definitely stuck out like a Wilhelm scream. Yeah, it's true. Wah! You scared me. Yeah, I could just quote StarCraft quotes all day, but I won't. Will the game run on the N-Gage? Oh, the puns. The puns are real. Yeah, so basically what this we'd look for 2 animations. Here we'd look for the starting animation. And then, yeah, that would have a separate animation for when it impacts. Blizzard doesn't hire writers anymore, just interns to copy paste from a spreadsheet of canned quotes. Oh god. Yeah. Are they doing any more StarCraft? Is StarCraft going to be a thing anymore, or are they just giving up on that now? Because I think it wasn't like really as successful as they were hoping. Because massive success isn't enough. It needs to be extraordinary success. Right. So we have the projectile class here. This is also a bit clunky. Because it's just in work. Oh yeah, I know, Ritu. That's that was my that was the joke. Complete flop. Yeah. It was too soon to try to make a mobile gaming platform. Although mobile gaming's like phone gaming, I've never been able to get on with it because touchscreens are terrible, and most mobile games have these awful economies of free-to-play nonsense. Yeah, it's true, Deluxe Turks. The first one was the best episode anyway, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah. So I could have an animation here at hit target. The problem is there's more than one type of delayed attack I'm going to have. Also, no one likes. But I'm not playing any Blizzard games anymore. I used to play Hearthstone a lot. Don't play it anymore because fuck Blizzard. I know it doesn't really hurt them, but I'm just not interested. Besides, it was becoming an addiction. It's not completely selfless. So it's just like, yeah. I never really spent any money on it. I would grind like a peasant. So yeah, maybe it would be better to implement other types of delayed attacks before figuring out how to handle this. Then again, if I make the system flexible enough, then it should accommodate any other kind of delayed attack. I found it because it's a pretty serious game, but all I play is Pokemon Go. Yeah, I remember that needs to need a pretty powerful phone. Or does it still? I don't know. View screen animator, view screen weapons over there. This is a pretty simple class. There's not much to be done here, I don't think. I wonder if perhaps the action handler should be dealing with the projectile impact. So right now, yeah, hit target is called. So when the fire at method is called, where you set your target and your damage, this happens. If it's the player, if the target is the enemy, it hits on the start of the player's turn. If the target is the player, it happens at the start of the enemy turn. And then we have to take damage here. This is a sharing of concerns, which is not ideal. So the action handler at this point, up to now, has been the only thing that calls take damage. Yeah, in fact, it's only one thing here. So maybe the projectile should be handing this off to the action handler. But it's not really an action, because the action has already happened. The action is the thing associated with the card. The action has happened, and then one turn later, the effect of the action happens. So in a sense, why is there a got a reference here I don't need. Oh no, I do need it for here, yeah. So, because the action that's happening is spawn projectile, which just creates a projectile from the pool, and then the projectile takes over what's happening. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. I need a generalized way to handle animations that play when a delayed action takes effect. So maybe instead of this just being projectile, it should be some kind of abstract class of delayed actions. Yeah, I think that's what I need to do. Okay, let's try that. I guess we'll put it in actions. Makes sense. Create a new script, call it delayed. Oops. I got a new ergonomic keyboard today, still getting used to it, but it's very comfortable. It's one of these rooms with a big bowing middle bit and it's sort of split keyboard, so your arms kind of come in at more natural angles rather than being awkwardly shoved. I actually bought one previously with a little scroll wheel in the middle, which was great, but then the scroll wheel didn't work, so it was like the only reason I bought that one, and it had pretty nasty keys, so I returned it and got a regular ergonomic keyboard. There's like this perfect little space right in the middle for a little scroll wheel, and it's so hard to find a keyboard with a scroll wheel on it, you know, a mouse scroll wheel, but it seems like such an obvious thing that you should have there, because especially for an ergonomic keyboard, because scrolling with your mouse hand is not really ideal, at least not for me, because it hurts my fingers. Okay. Then again, should this be called delayed action? A lot of coding is deciding what to call things, believe it or not. Because if I call this delayed action, it kind of muddles up with action, which is a totally different thing. Let's leave the name for now. So, this wants functionality that the projectile has. Let's just clear these out. Okay. Oh no, you broke your headphones. Yeah, I saw that on the Discord. That's unfortunate. Were they expensive? Like, I sometimes I'm reluctant to buy expensive headphones because if they break, you know, they usually just break from a little bit of wire or something. Okay. So, what things here are just about the delaying of actions? We probably want a class like this. And we'll just call this begin action. It's throwing up a lot of errors because of reasons. It's set with replaceable wires. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, having the wires themselves replaceable is probably not too expensive, around 60 euros. It's not. That doesn't sound cheap to me. Let's see. Let's make a damage. The thing is, I right now I have it so that the delayed actions, all they do is damage. But what if you want some other action to happen other than just damaging the enemy, like a shield leech or some kind of card disruption ability or something? So really, it should store the action. No, what we have here is an action that causes another action later, right? That's what's happening. So I'm trying to solve too many things at once because let's just see if we can make this work. Let's make a reference to an action. We'll take in the action. Now the action also has... Does it have... Ooh. An action element does have a target type. I think... It shouldn't be... It should be like... What are we doing here? Let's see. I don't know if it would be a good way to do it, but maybe some sort of event system. One action could send an event when it ends for the next action the chain can listen for. Yeah, I definitely do need to do that as well. So because let's say you have two projectiles on the way to the enemy, they both need to happen one after another. You don't want them to happen simultaneously. So I will need an action queue for that. Action queue. Probably won't go wireless since I have an IR head tracker attached to the headphones. Oh, that's cool. This isn't really beginning the action. This is like saving the action. That's not right. Starting the action? Same as begin. No. Save the action as a local variable. We want a local variable for the... Oh, we're calling this... There we go. We want a local variable for the commander. Commander of a starship. Okay. Right, we'll call it target commander. Target commander! Why isn't that up at too many M's? That's why. Too lazy for wireless electronics, so it's the time for chargers and batteries. Well, yeah. It's a good point. Although I find Bluetooth headphones invaluable. There's so like if I'm cooking or something, I just want to have some headphones on. I don't want to have to deal with where have I put my phone. You know, where's the yeah, my Bluetooth headphones, the battery lasts for ages. Like, I can leave them on just and yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I do that too. It's nice not having a wire trailing around you. You know. Right. So we do have the event system here. So we need a reference to the turn handler for one. Which we'll set up now and start. Whoops. Turn handler equals scene references. Instance turn handler. Music's getting a bit loud. Let me know if it's too loud. We're talking about StarCraft and it's playing, isn't it? Yeah. Didn't even realize. Right. Do delayed action. This doesn't. We are going to need that. Okay. So this is setting up the events. So previously I had it where when the turn starts it will just do hit target, which will cause damage to happen, return the projectiles to the pool and refresh the queues. Actually, oh yeah, that's fine. But instead of that, because in order to make it so that we can have any arbitrary action occur instead of just damage, we have this now. The problem is we now need an action that's the delayed actions are actions that spawn other actions, essentially. So yeah, so we basically need like fire missile and missile hit. So here's I'm using this. Another thing I've started doing is I'm using source control now. I'm just messing around with it, but it does this sort of annoying thing where you have to check out a field to be able to access it. So there we go. So really, rather than just spawn projectile, this should be like spawn missile. See, this whole system is not really great because this action element system, because all it really is a load of, it's an enum list of stuff which is just checked in action handler with this long list of if statements here. But would it be better to make a different class for every action type? So like a class for like damaging and a class for restoring shields. I didn't use any source control before. No, uh, I had like a sort of primitive form of source control where I would basically copy my whole project into a zip file before I made any scary changes with Guildmaster, and yeah, and I do have a backup solution, so it's backing up all my important data anyway. So if I had a hard drive crash or something, it would still be there. But as far as explicit source control, no, this is the first time I'm trying it, which I know is stupid. I made so many mistakes with Guildmaster, and that's what I'm trying to learn from all those mistakes this time. So yeah, I'm kind of going all over the place here. So I started with trying to make projectile animations work better. Then I got caught up in let's make delayed actions as a whole work, and now I'm thinking, should the action elements be different? But because the reason is because every time I try to add a new functionality, I end up bumping into some kind of inefficiency and inelegancy of the system. So it's kind of like tracing a flaw in the system all the way back to its source, and then having to sort of fix the foundation further down before going up any higher. But there is the danger of getting confused, so I'm actually going to write down what's happened here. So tried to fix the projectile I'm not used to this keyboard animation problem. Found that it would be better to make generic delayed actions work first, then realized that the action element system is not ideal and should be made more flexible. So that's where this has taken us. Better than nothing, I guess. Learning Git is 1,000% worth the investment. Only takes a couple hours. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I think so. Plastic SCM has this. I don't really know how to use it yet, but it has this branch explorer where I can go through all these, like, I can like diff change set, which which like shows me all the differences between things in each of these classes, which is quite handy. Oh, I really hope this thing has a dark mode, because I hate the brightness of this. I'll look at it later, but they say it's like having kids. The more you have, the easier it gets. Really? That's not what I heard, but what do I know? That seems like having more kids would be exponentially harder than having just one. I guess because you get... I see what you mean. If you have them in sequence, right? The second one you've learned. Although, my parents, they had more challenges with me than they did with my brother. I came 12 years after my brother, and I was different on the autistic spectrum, you know, and they had no idea what to do with me because my brother's not autistic, and so they didn't have anywhere near the same kind of challenges. So yeah, just because anyway. It's, 6 or 7, you can pop them out like Lucy in the Chocolate Factory. Oh goodness. Yours is the second oldest of 13. 13? What are they trying to make a football team? Like, that's crazy. Sorry, I can't imagine one, let alone 13. Like, can you imagine having 12 children and being like, we need one more? Like, what the hell? You know, baker's dozen in here. Git is pretty much the same, only stores the changes. You need some sort of GUI to visualize the diffs. Yeah, I mean, I figured I might as well use something that is integrated with Unity, because it also, like, right here, you can see all the classes I've added, they have this little plus. So, you know, I know people get very attached to their software, and I get it. Look, I'm still using Winamp up there, so you know I understand. But I have no such attachments, so I figured I'll try plastic SCM. If I have problems with it, I might go to Git. But I just can't believe it's called Git, and I can't believe I learned last week it's called that because the guy who made it was like, I'm going to name it after a slang swear word sort of thing, Git, just because. I'm like, what a troll. Anyway, what was I doing? I've completely forgotten what I was doing. Yeah, right. The action element system. So rather than have this awkward enum of action element types, I should make action element type a. No, maybe I should. So the problem here is what I need. I'm having ideas. Sorry, I'm having ideas in my brain. What I really need here is I need to be able to do this basically. I need to have a function here, which is like do action effect or something, and then specify something in here depending on a subclass. So really, could I just... Can you make subclasses of scriptable objects? I miss the days when nerds drove tech advancement, not corps. Yeah. Well, the nerds made themselves into corporations, didn't they? Like, you know, a nerd gets rich enough and they become a corporation. They get assimilated. Yeah. Anyway. So does anyone here know about scriptable objects and this kind of approach? Who could give me some advice here? Because I want to be able to specify a scriptable object type here and then have a different effect in this method. Like, can you have a field here which specifies the subclass of a scriptable object, or can you subclass scriptable? I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to try subclass and scriptable objects. So I'm just going to make a new folder here. For action. And then make a new class script here. So let's have this as action element damage. No. Yeah, damage. Okay. And then does plastic SCM save your program remotely? I believe it is remotely. Yeah, it is remote. But the free version allows you to it gives you plenty of space. I don't need any more space than it gives me. It doesn't store just changes, it actually stores the full thing each time with some space saving optimizations. Oh, okay. Let's see. So yeah, this wants to inherit from action element. I kind of don't like this for one. Oh wait, it's not liking it. Circular base. Oh no, yeah. There. I kind of don't like this in a way because you need a class for all of these things, but maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe having all these classes is the point of object orientation, you know. So if I make this virtual, then I can just inherit it, override it. Oh, wait, what? No, So then we'd have like do damage. We'd need references to all the right things though, wouldn't we? Maybe that's not the right approach. Okay, let's try to. Caused that. Yeah, I guess they kind of do, and I mean, corporations drive military technology, certainly. Military-industrial complex and everything. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck here. I'm not sure how to do this. I'm not sure even what I want to do. Sometimes you just have to try it. The thing is, if I have a separate class for each type of action, do we even want it to be a scriptable object? I don't know. These are tough design decisions. It's like, yeah. Because I'm not really sure the point of having... Because the whole point of using a scriptable object is so I can have it here in this database of stuff, right? And then specify things, fields, like I would in a database. But I suppose I could do something obnoxious like, you know, if action element type equals damage, then, you know, do damage, and have the big list here instead of having subclasses, but that just moves the thing out of the action handler. The problem is the action handler needs all these references, which the action element doesn't have. Oh god, this is hard. Alright, let's not do this. Let's pursue another attempt. Is everyone following what I'm doing, by the way? Because I'd hate to think I was just babbling nonsense and no one understands what I'm even saying. And because there's a lot of things I could be doing with these streams. Like I could just focus on something like brainstorming ideas or doing graphics. So let me know if the code is even interesting to see. Hello, Arcturus Deluxe. Welcome. How's it going? I am still doing space cards. Yes. Shall I show you what we've got going now? Actually, I can't because all the code is broken for a moment. Let's get rid of all the things that are broken for a minute. And it might still work. Yep, it might work. Okay, let's play. So, first glance, much doesn't seem to be different, except this over here. The enemy has cards. If I end the turn, see, they are playing cards. They're mostly fire lasers. Yeah, they have other cards. So, the fact that the enemy has cards opens up a lot of potential for things like messing with their hand or seeing what's in their hand, stuff like that. Yeah. Another thing that's different is projectiles. So, ignore the animation. That's not supposed to happen yet. This appears here, showing that the missile is on its way, but it won't get there till next turn. Eventually, the enemy will be able to do the same, which allows for strategery in deciding how to respond to that. Anyway, that's what we're doing now. Right now, I'm getting caught up in the miasma of trying to figure out how to redesign the code, as I often do. Yes. Ultimately, the problem is that we need actions that cause delayed actions. Giving the AI deck 2 seems like a great idea. Symmetrical, logical, multiplayer possibilities. Exactly. Yeah. I'm not sure if that is going to happen, but keeping that door open seems to be worth doing. It will need. I need to make a more sophisticated AI. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I might make a poll actually to ask what kind of content you want to see from these streams. I might do that in the break, which should be coming up in about 10 minutes. Right, we don't want to do this. Or do we? No, we don't. I definitely don't want to do it that way. I want the actions being handled in the action handler class. But if this is spawning a projectile, we need to know what action the projectile is causing. Then again, the action itself, I don't need an action that spawns another action, I just need to delay the action and have something. Okay. I can make this work. So, do delayed action. That's all we need to do is have a reference to the action handler. Let's set the reference here. Okay, and then set action. Let's rename that to delayed actions for the purpose of less ambiguity. Will the enemy have cards exclusive to them you can never have, or would it be just like everyone has access to all the cards? So that seems more elegant design wise. But also you might want some kind of single player mode where having some AI only super attack to deal with. Yeah, it will definitely depend. So I think at least at the beginning there will be alien ships with completely different abilities, which you might be able to get if you can sort of salvage some of their weapons or technology from the wreckage, that kind of thing. Yeah. So this is the way I'm. This is actually not. The way I'm coding this is coding like the action handler, not like an action. So, I think the only way to make this work. Alien salvage research stuff is always good. Yeah, it's cool. Oh, you could do research. Yeah. Maybe that's too much. No, I think I got excited by research. Maybe my reluctance to have the action be checked is not so necessary. We want to be able to differentiate whether an action is delayed, so we can decide whether to do something with it now or wait. So, so if we had like, come on, an action like missile. If we could just have another field for... Oh yes, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to try something. So if I do this, action delay, right now, we have action delay 1. You can't actually see that there. So rather than just spawn projectile, it will be direct damage. So, so instead of having a completely different action element type of spawn projectile, instead we just delay the action by 1. Now all we need to do is, and every other one, if it has an action delay of 0, then it happens immediately. So then we can just go into action handler and say, wait, set actions from card. We're going to need a separate method here. So Decide. Check for delayed action. That's what we're doing. Check for delayed action. And then we'll call that here. And move do actions to here, but check all the actions. If action action items. Wait, how does this work? I'm getting confused here. I need to be able to... let's just do it like this. This is wrong, but... if it's greater than 0, then... Where's the action queue? Damn it! I'm confusing myself. Because actions are supposed to take place... Yeah. It's doing the action queue. Okay. Oh man. This is complicated. Kessa, hello! Good to see you. I am up to something. I'm up to my neck in code and getting confused by it. By my own code. The problem is here, I can't just... Do action is called down here. Where is it called from? It's got to be called in more than one place. Okay, I've deeply confused myself here. Because I'm not sure how my action queue even works now. Resolve action. It does this. It goes through all the action items. Does the action effects. There. Okay, here it is. If there's more than one action, it goes to the next one, and then delays before the next one. Animate current action. That's what happens in sequence. Actually, this wouldn't work if the second action had no animation. Oh man. The code begins and ends with basic 2.0 and 6502/10 assembly language. Oh my goodness. What's the high level problem you're encountering with waiting for things? I missed a bunch at the start of the stream. Okay, so I'll try to explain the problem here. So the way I'm going to restore it to the way it was for one. Get rid of this. Okay, so when a missile is created, I want to be able to delay the effect it has. So the way I was doing this before was I made a projectile class. Where is it? Here. So what this would do is it would have this called fire at, would set the targets and everything. Then the turn handler is sent this delegate event, which is called on the start of the player's turn. So the player fires a missile. The missile is spawned, but the effect of the missile doesn't happen until the start of the next turn, and then this is called. And right now it just says take damage, but I want to be able to instead of just give it some damage, I want to be able to have any arbitrary effect. So I want it to basically take a different action. So there's an action for spawning the projectile, which causes another action to be spawned, to be created when the missile hits. The problem is, I don't know how to make that happen. Because the actions right now are just... they all do something immediately. I thought about having this delay effect here. So I added a variable in the action items, the action elements, which allows for a delay. But then I'm not sure what to do with that in the action handler because... oh, it's a mess. I don't know if I can do this on stream. That's part of the problem is having to think through all this and do it on stream is really difficult for me. So I'm not sure what... I'm wondering if it's better for me to focus on simpler things when I'm streaming. But basically in here, I was thinking I'd replace this with something that checks for whether the action is immediate or not. And if it's not, then it will... oh, I don't know. It's hard to solve problems on stream at the same time. Yeah, I'm thinking... I'm wondering... See, some of it I can do, but when I'm doing this whole like large-scale restructure of things, it's a bit much. So maybe I should try to... I thought I'd plan something simple. Just fix the animation problem. Yeah. Yeah. I could work on something simpler for the rest of the stream. Like making the animations for the enemy work. That might be worth doing. Let me just make sure I haven't broken anything right now. Okay, missile. Oh, it is broken. What? Why is it broken? What did I do? Oh no. It's not spawning the projectile. Oh no. Okay. I've broken everything and I don't know why. Doesn't seem like a hard thing to do on a stream. For me, this kind of thing, I have to sit by myself and bash my head against the table and scribble one conference will notice until it finally clicks. Oh, sorry, it does seem like a hard thing to do. Yeah, it is. Okay, now I need to figure out what I've broken and how I've broken it before I... oh no. I don't know what I did to break it, and if I don't find it soon, I'm going to get lost and confused. I do hope you're enjoying this. I don't know if this is entertaining at all to watch me just get confused. Then again, you know, that was what you were seeing when I was playing games. So. Yeah. Okay. I do have source control saved, so I could just go back. That's true. Yeah, I guess it is a bit spaghetti-like. I don't know how else to code, though. I don't know how you're supposed to keep all these things separated when these different parts of the code, they need to work together. I'm not even sure how to do it. How to not spaghettify your code. I mean, what part of the problem is this is happening in this class instead of in Action Handler, right? Action Handler is where this is supposed to happen, so I guess that's part of the problem. But really, what I want to happen here is to pass an action to the Action Handler when it hits the target. You have infinite RAM, so you can absolutely compartmentalize. When actions play, they spawn actions. No, that is not correct. What happens is actions are scriptable objects, so they just sort of exist as these scriptable objects. When a card is played, let's go through it. Let's skip this track. It's a bit too epic for right now. Where are we? Card play area. No. Yeah, it happens here. So spend the command, set the actions from the card in the action handler. Each card can have multiple actions, so it sets the array and an index of 0, then it's called do actions, which if the action has an animation, it does the animation, and then at the end of the animation, it resolves the action. If it doesn't have an animation, it just resolves the action. Then it goes through here and determines the target, does the action effects. The real problem is I need an action to store another action. Can you show an example of an action? Something like, yeah. So basically, the do action effects happens here. So it just takes the action element and the action magnitude, and then does a series of if statements, which I know is the wrong way to do it, but I don't know how else to do it. I guess I could make a subclass for every kind of action element type. And so it does something like take damage, restore shields, take hull damage, deal cards, damage weapon, etc. Wondering if you need another abstraction, maybe called effect, which is an action bound to a target, which also has some metadata like how many turns it. Yeah. So you'd essentially see that sort of works, but it sort of doesn't, because oh no, wait, it does work. Does it work? So we probably do need another abstraction. So, but for this, right? For this part specifically, do you think I should have? Do you think I should have some other way of doing this other than just a list of if statements checking with a bunch of enums? Because that's probably wrong, isn't it? I should probably do this with some kind of subclass, right? So there should be a subclass of action element called shield leech and a subclass of action element called damage. I don't know how to reference those in scriptable objects though. That's the problem, because I need to do that because the the cards need to be scriptable objects. Can a scriptable object just store a random class? I don't know. Manage a class for each action. They all implement a method that takes a target and makes whatever changes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to mess with it. But I don't think that it's a problem that's too big for for the stream. So I'm gonna work on something else after the break. I'm gonna come back to this and hopefully have it fixed for next time. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna take a 5-minute break, and I'll see you all shortly. Be right back. Okay. We're back. So, I'm running a poll because I want to know what kind of content you'd most like to see on the stream. So that's starting now. So it's going to run for 10 minutes, so there's plenty of time to respond. You want all three? Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, if it's if you want all three, then don't vote, I guess. That's the same, you know, because you don't want to skew it one way or another, right? I guess. But yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to work on now is I'm going to make some animations for. If you want 2 out of 3. Yeah, I don't know. It's not ranked choice voting. Sorry, Twitch doesn't let me do that. But yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the animations, some animations for the enemy work that aren't working right now. So, for example, the shield leech. Wait, images. Okay. Actually, I can do this even more simply than that. So the animation right now is just 4 frames. All I need to do is reverse it. So if I go to animations, create game animation, and I'll call it enemy shield leech. that. Shield reach. Frame delay. Let's just copy the data for 0.1. 0.1. And we'll just select it here. Where is it? So we want this kind of going backwards. So it will be 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then again 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that's 2 loops. Not voting counts as voting all. Yes, it's true. So now I just need to go into the action dictionary, action animation dictionary, and set up a reference. So, enemy action animation dictionary, add action reference. What is it? Shield leech, and then set the animation. Reference to. Oh, we need to make a reference for it. So let's do that. Let's put these down here. Enemy shield leech. Okay. Then we just reference that here. I just need to set the reference in the inspector. Looks a bit like Elite, the old one, not like a dislike new one, but I wasn't that impressed with the new Elite. I mean, I was and I wasn't. One big flaw held me back from liking Elite, and that's the fact that it wastes your time. And the update has oddly enough made it even worse. They actually have a taxi service system where you just get a taxi, it's a space taxi, and you go from one place to another, and you have nothing to do for like 5 minutes. What's the fucking point of that? Don't waste my time. I have a finite number of seconds to be alive, and yeah, and it makes you wait. Okay, where's the animation reference? It's here. Okay, enemy shield leech. There we are. Okay, now that should just work. Hopefully. Let's see. Just gotta wait for the enemy to use it. That's firing lasers. Shield boost. It works. It just did it. Perfect. See, now that is the advantage of making a robust, flexible system. Is that once it's in place, it was a bit of a pain to set up, but adding in new functionality is a snap, right? That's the reason. That's what we want. We want a system that just works. And setting that up ahead of time is difficult to make it in a way that's flexible and extendable and all that. Things ending in ibble, but it's worth it because. What about the variations? What do you mean? Hang on, if I missed some chat. Biggest reason why I stopped playing a game where 95% of the time is waiting. Yeah, exactly. See. Yeah, I should make a rant video about it because I have things to say. I've already said it, but you know, like what I want to do is a side-by-side comparison of Frontier Elite 2, this very old game. Usually, old games are the ones that don't respect your time, and this new game, you know, and see. I thought of a thing and did it and done it. Yes, it's awesome. How many possible outcomes can you program for? I don't know what you mean. Well, you just need to be able to program for like the possible outcomes that you think are going to happen, right? Like so that you're going to work into your design and make a system that is also flexible enough to be modified without breaking everything. Unfortunately, I've not been very good at that because trying to modify this thing here has just caused this. Trying to change one thing, having an animation occur later has caused this cascade of effects throughout the code. It's rippled through them. Probably because I'm doing it wrong. But honestly, I just don't know how else to do it. I think coding content creation is fun like that for a stream, like brainstorming a new card and implementing it live. Yeah. So I can't be the programmer. I fiddle with everything until you will say enough. Yeah. The thing is though, unlike some other disciplines, you know, they say art isn't finished, it's only abandoned. With coding, you actually need to take a kind of obsessive level of interest in the minutiae and making everything like really, really work. Like you still get to that point where you have to stop and make it work, but like you get more dividends from perfection in coding than you do in other art forms. Is my impression. By the way, the poll is still running. If you want to vote on what kind of content you want to see, then it's up there somewhere, or there to where you are. If you're watching on YouTube, it doesn't matter. But you know, in terms of minutiae, I think Zork is forever the prime example. How do you mean? The text adventure? With art that runs on computers, you don't even get the luxury of abandoning if you want to prevent code rot. Yeah, that's true. Code rot, yeah. Thought of so many little things, yeah. Code rot is a thing. It's a problem. So, okay. I actually don't have any other animations for the enemy cards. Do I? Because of missiles. Yeah, I could try to implement the enemy having missiles, but I think my code might explode right in front of me. Well, let's try it. Let's just do it and see what happens, eh? So, let's make... Actually, all we need to do is give the enemy some missiles. The way to do that is... We'll just go to the enemy ship here. Actually, we'll just copy this missile launcher. Paste it here. And then... add this reference here. Missile. We're going to need a UI element for this. That would be here. Copy the missile icon. What's it? Oops, no. There we go. Yeah, there we go. There's the launcher. And now we just need to set the reference. Wait. There it is. There we go. Let's rename this because it says player. See, now I'm showing you how easy it is to add a new weapon to the enemy. And because of the way the code works... Aha! Our poll is done, and it seems that the serious winner is designing / brainstorming. So, okay. I guess in that case, I'll at least focus on that a bit for the next stream. Second was making pixel art with 2 votes. So that would also be a good thing. There isn't a lot of art to do yet because I'm still working with placeholder stuff. So that's kind of good to know. I never heard of code rot. I assume it is if you left it off for a while and it becomes stale. Code rot, yeah. Code rot is when digital worms turn your game into digital dust. So code rot is... It's something that I never actually defined, but you kind of pick it up by implication. So it's like leaving bits of code that have become irrelevant. So let's say in my code, for example, I let's say in my action handler class, which we've been messing with, if I go in here and let's say I make a new thing like this. So private actions, do actions better, right? And then I start calling this class, and then I do a bunch of stuff here. So I do that bunch of stuff there, and then I stop referring to this method. It just sits there and doesn't do anything. And then later on I come back to this class and I try to do actions, I'll do this, and then I call that method and it doesn't work because it's using all these old references that I haven't been maintaining because I haven't been calling this class. It's like that's, I think, one example of code rot. There's all kinds of ways that it can happen. Things like having bad names for things, names that don't change. So for example, if I made this projectile class and I made it work with other kinds of delayed attacks, things like a charged beam attack, that's not a projectile, so you shouldn't call it that. So that's why I would have a superclass for it, that describes different kinds of delayed actions. The code in Guildmaster is very rotten. It's a nightmare. I showed it on stream once and I kind of embarrassed by it, to be honest. But it's you can comment the code to high heaven so you won't get lost. Oh, it's funny you talk about commenting. In the book Clean Code, they say comments should be kept to an absolute minimum, and ideally you shouldn't need them at all. The code should explain itself. And I never liked making comments, because the problem with comments is they rot. They rot really badly, because you might update a method and not update its comment, and then the comment is wrong, and then it's misleading and confusing. This is especially a problem on team projects, but it can be a problem on just solo projects too, because I can come back and read a comment and be like, this doesn't make sense, and I can't remember what the comment was for, and I can't remember how to change it, because if the whole point of the comment is to describe what the code is doing, that means I can't read the code on its own, which means when the code gets updated and the comment doesn't, the comment is worse than useless. That's why I only write comments, never the code. That way they can never be out of sync. That's true. Yeah, just write it all in pseudocode. It's fine. Let someone else do the actual coding. That would be great. Yeah. Okay, I forgot what I was doing. Oh yeah, making the enemy launcher. Yeah. So hopefully this should just work. And the reason it should just work is because I think it's in Commander. Is it in Commander? No, it's not in Commander. Where is it? It's in Deck. Of course it is. So, get cards from weapons. So it just goes through the list of weapons, gets all the cards listed in that weapon, and puts them into the deck. And then assigns the weapon to the card. That's for things like when you need the weapon to the card to know about the weapon, and the weapon to know about the card, because when the weapon gets destroyed, the card is unusable. So, if this works, the enemy should be able to fire missiles. We won't see them, but they should appear up here, I think. We'll find out. Okay, shield boost. Fire lasers, that's fine. Missile. Okay. So, it didn't work. Question is why? So down here we have the projectile handler, we have the pool of projectiles, and we have reality. This is the way I made it work. So, Judge Groovy Man, hello, welcome. It's been a bit of a crazy stream of confusion, but when isn't it? Let's see, I've missed out on some comment here. When I was doing a programming class, one critique for my code wasn't commenting enough. Well, that's the thing. There are a lot of disagreements about what the right kind of coding is. Some people do say that that commenting is really important, and you should comment all your code, and that's what I learned. And learning that there's a different way that is just as legitimate, if not more so, is very liberating, because Now I can code the way that makes more sense to me. Comments is minimal, yes, if you're counting kilobytes, but now you can write an essay on a single line and computer won't bat and interrupt. Yeah, no, that's true. We do have, but then you shouldn't have an essay in the code. If you need to write an essay, put it in documentation, right? Document your code, don't comment your code. That's the distinction there. In class situations, teachers often ask for comments to make sure the student understands, among other things, but it's not necessarily a good practice on your work. Right. Will this game have a challenge opponent to a match of Ambo Jiu-Jitsu? Yes, the ultimate form of martial arts. Oh, that would be fun. Yeah. Challenge your dad to Ambo Jitsu and hit him with a giant cotton bud. That's a Star Trek reference in case anyone is unaware. Yeah, I used that as some evidence in a Riker versus Kirk argument which came up on a previous stream. Would Riker be able to beat Kirk? And I say he would, because Kirk's martial arts consists of jumping into walls and doing double-fisted trick fu, whereas Riker, I think, is a superior fighter. You know, he also fought with Worf on the holodeck, you know, and killed some monsters. What if there was a card to challenge the enemy to a game of cards and then it becomes a different card game? Yeah, let's make this more complicated. Just happy I called it stream. Yeah. You watched the Riker fights his dad episode last night? Yeah, it's something. It's not the highest point in Star Trek, but yeah. Okay, so the question is, why isn't the missile working? So let's. Will the console be of any help? Probably not. So, projectile handler. Create projectile. This is called from here. So this should happen. There's no reason this shouldn't happen. Projectile pool, create, put So one way I do this is simply to put in a bunch of debugs, which is little bits of text that we written to the console. When things happen that can give you some information. One thing they can just tell you is whether the code even gets to this point. So then let's go fire at targets player commander. Do you want enemy turn start hit target? See, that's the part that's not happening. Let's just debug this. Debug log. Hit target. Oops. Target commander. Okay. And let's just run it and see if it works. Any martial arts technique that requires you to dress up like a Power Ranger and use Monkey Island Q-tip can't be a good one. I don't know, I think it's just beyond us, so we just can't understand how amazing it is, so it looks stupid. That's how that works. Okay. Drawing cards, not helpful. Firing lasers. Shoot a missile at me, you bastard. No. There we go. Okay. Let's check the comments now. I mean, the cards. Okay, so none of it happened. It's all just moving the cards. What the hell? None of it happened. Am I not working either? No, they're not. Okay, yeah, of course I broke something, didn't I? And I forgot what it was. Okay, let's see. Moving card, missile, player hand. Moving card to discard pile. Yeah, none of it happened. Put numbers and suits on all the cards and make it so you're playing the space card game but also poker simultaneously. Me catching a stream is like a salmon leaping into the air and catching the rainbow. Wow. Okay, so why... The problem is even further back. So... Let's check here. Oh, I know why. I remember why now. Because I changed what missile does to direct damage. Let's change that back to spawn projectile. Of course. Okay. Oh, it's not in place. To exit play mode. Okay, now it should work, hopefully. I forgot that I did that. Alright, let's see if this works. That does. Okay, so we have a missile en route. And... oh, and the enemy has a missile en route. Look at that! It worked! Okay, so now, if we end our turn, we should take the shield damage. There, it worked. Okay, good. And it's doing it again. And then if we end our turn, it should also, again, take the shield damage. Nice. Okay. So, simple enough. That just worked. The only thing I need to do is fix everything. Yeah. I think the big redesign stuff is just... thank you, Kesa. I mean, I kind of made it work. I made the things work that already worked, more or less. It's I think implementing new features is something that probably isn't best suited for the stream. I should probably just do sort of, you know, just incremental stuff. Stuff that doesn't require the kind of full-on brain power that as much as I have to offer anyway. But yeah, sometimes it's just depends where I am at the development. Like the next thing to do is just something complicated. But I can try to be a bit more strategic in what I leave undone to do on stream. But as the poll indicates, most of you prefer most of you prefer designing / brainstorming on the stream. So that's definitely something we can do. So let's do some of that now. So yeah. So one thing I also want to do is decide how to deal with shooting down projectiles. And also, more specifically, targeting, right? So let's make a... So how should targeting work? One way to do it is with cards. So a specific card that says, like, target weapons, target engines, etc. Target missiles, right? But that seems a little clunky because you have to wait for the card to come up. Will there be multiple enemies you're fighting at the same time? Possibly. I was thinking about this. So in it, I think most of the time you'll only be fighting one, but there are many different things we want to target. We want to specifically target enemy systems, so we want to target their weapons, we want to target their engines. But how do we want to do that? Do we want to have a card that does it, or do we want to just sort of do it up here? So let's say you move over here and it gives you an option to, you know, target their bridge, right? Target their shield emitter, right? Target their whatever. So you just click somewhere up here, and then that would just be where all your shots go from now. And maybe there could be like a percentage chance to hit certain types of systems. You know, like if you're trying to hit a small weapons array on the ship, maybe you'll miss the weapons array, but you'll hit the ship in general. The green ship is scary to me. I assume you'll have different angles later on. Yeah, this is totally placeholder art. In fact, I'm thinking of using a 3D to make the ships. Let me show you this little bit of software I've found. I think Judge Guruman actually recommended it to me. Where is it? Sprytile. Here we go. So this is a thing I was thinking of using, which allows you to do kind of low poly pixel art stuff in Blender in a way that is kind of awesome. Hang on, let me just put this so you can see it properly. So I can imagine making this, using this for something like this, but with a spaceship, right? Can you imagine that as like not a submarine, but a little spaceship? And that way you can have like bits of it blown off and stuff, and it'd be a nice way to experiment with 3D a bit, because I've done quite a bit of 3D modeling, as I mentioned in a previous stream. So, and the thing I always fell down with was texturing, but I can this is just pixel art, right? And I can do pixel art. So, yeah. I think like having your view screen show an image of the enemy ship in 3D would be really cool, and then it can be more interesting to look at than just a single angle. And it would be also, I think it would be easier to draw, to make a 3D model than it would to draw every conceivable angle of the ship and all the kind of permutations thereof. So yeah, I really like that idea. Target cards be like modifiers, so you play a laser card then a target card. Yeah, kinda. So right now I have a card which targets weapons. If I just play this, and then it might come up, or it might not. Oh look, it's firing 2 missiles. This might break everything. Let's find out. Our shields should go completely down. It did work, but they both hit simultaneously. Oh come on, I'm not going to run out of weapons before it... Oh, it's draining my shields. Okay, it's not coming up. The target weapons is not coming up. I think it's because I didn't... Okay, I took the card out of rotation, that's why. Anyway, I'm leaning towards targeting just being a free action, essentially. So if you look at Slay the Spire, for example, which I'm taking a lot of inspiration from, you just choose where your attacks go, usually, unless you have like a damage all effect. So, yeah. So because say if you have some enemy projectiles incoming, you could click on an enemy projectile to try to shoot it down, right? I think that's the right way to go. So I think that's perhaps something I should implement for next time. If okay, another one is just so another way to do it is targeting is a free action. Oops, free. I'm not used to this keyboard. But the chance to hit is not 100%. But if we do that, then we could have a lock-on card, right? So you could have a lock-on target card, which makes... so you can't change target for the rest of the turn, but hit chance is 100%. So always, so you'd always hit the hull, right? You'd always hit the hull or the shields, and you take some like just damage off the thing itself. But if you want to target like the weapons, so say you've got a 25% chance to hit the weapon, so you can just fire as is and you might miss. But if you play the lock-on card, you can only target that weapon for the rest of the turn, but it's a 100% chance. So yeah, I think that is a nice, cool idea, because it's, yeah. So if they're about to fire, right? If they're about to fire a powerful weapon, you have a lock-on target card, that's the way to respond, right? Or if you're worried about them evading, or if they you could target their engines, you know. Let's see, I missed some chat. Makes you rotate, scale an image. Not sure what you mean. Is it just like drawing pixel art on flat planes in a region of misreading? Essentially, yeah. I mean, that is what 3D graphics is, right? It's a bunch of like that. I mean, that's what the Saturn did, isn't it? It was just rotated sprites, which is where everything was quads. Yeah, I really like that graphical style. It would almost look a bit like Homeworld, like low-res Homeworld, and that'd be fun to make those graphics and make those ships and stuff. I can't imagine. Oh wait, I'd love to see the lazy game from back then. Do you mean Shitty Quest? I can't imagine writing dialogue like that, ignoring other possible endings. Quite like the lock-on idea. It's a nice. Yeah, I think it's good. Target cards for everything might be a bit much. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think the best way to go is yeah, not to have like that, like this. I mean, like this. Oh, thank you, Kessa. I'm glad you enjoy it. In fact, it will be the 10th anniversary of Shitty Quest next year. Can you believe that? And I'm going to do an anniversary edition of the game, which is going to have some a few little extra things. Yeah, because yeah, that's amazing. If you haven't seen it, KSR, I did a sort of commentary on the game with Pac Billy, who did the voice of the lazy guy. That's on my channel. I can find a link for that if you like. And also I talked about it on the Q&A on the Jim Makes Games channel, Q&A 1, where I talk about Shitty Quest a bit. But anyway, yeah. So that's targeting. Let's see. I'm gonna. What did I? Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that. Okay. Oh, you did see the commentary. Excellent. Cool. Yeah, Pac really helped a lot with the dialogue, as you know if you saw the commentary. But yeah. Okay, I still need to put a rat into the game because Dreddy insisted. Delayed actions, command pattern. Still need to do that. Yeah. Oh, another idea I had was card types. So let's write something about this. So let's say you have attack cards, right? Defense cards, and maybe trickery cards, as was alluded to previously. And because you have types, you can have a card, so like a card that draws and attack. You know, so you can have a card that is like draw 2 attack cards, you know, or draw 2 defense cards. You know, those sort of cards would be either, you know, your captain's cards or a crew member's cards, rather than a card that comes from a weapon. Yeah. So that creates a bit. So you might want to add a card to your deck that does something like draw specific cards. So you have something a lot like that in Hearthstone, right? In Hearthstone, you'll have cards that say draw a spell, draw a minion. You know. So I think that would be quite a valuable and fun mechanic to put in. What other ideas have I had? Yeah, let's this ship visuals, 3D models with pixel art textures made with spray tile. Back in the day when I ran into a problem, I would divert it into a subroutine because the C64 had lots of RAM at the time. The thing is, efficient programming ought to always be done. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, computers are fast now, right? So I do all these things with lists. So let me show you, for example. So the card container class, right? I have a list here, cards in container. Simple enough. When the component wakes up, it makes a new list. It populates the list with all the things that are in the transform. And let's say I want to get a list of these cards. Well, I don't want to return the list itself because I don't want the returned list to be modified by anything outside the class. So instead, I do cards in container to array. What this does is basically create a second list, which is an array, it's slightly different from list in C#, and it's just a copy, right? Which is a huge waste of memory. It's not efficient at all, right? Because the more efficient way to do it would be to just return, would be to do this. So return the list itself. Get cards, really. Turn cards. We just need to do that. That's the more efficient way because you're not assigning. You're not creating a new array. You're not putting it in memory. You're not returning. But the reason I want to do this is because it's encapsulation, right? This list is private to this card container class. It should not be. It should not allow anything to affect it from outside the class, right? So it's completely insulated. There's no way to get at this variable as the code is designed now from another class. If you want a list of all the cards, you just get a completely different list, a copy of the list of all the cards. In C#, all of your encapsulation, exactly, yeah. Unity, yeah, sorry, that's cool. Using what is already there, then you may add to it because you organized it well. Yeah. Yeah, so I can't imagine the design challenges of coding for the C64. They are so different because your limits are RAM, CPU power, and things like this. With this, you really don't have that problem unless you're doing something like every frame. If I'm modifying a list every frame, then you're going to see it happen. But doing it like once a second, even, is fine. It doesn't really make any difference. It's such a small drop in the bucket compared to all the other processing that's going on. But yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to work with basic and subroutines and even assembly code. Wow, that stuff is hardcore. Yeah. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, ship visuals. So the question is, would the if the enemy ships have visuals, would the player ship have a 3D model too? You'd assume so, but that's not how you do frames in this code. Do you mean frames as in like? Well, I'm not sure what you mean. Like I'm not sure how to explain. In some ways it's nice that computers are fast enough to brute force through less efficient code. Yeah, it's not. So the efficiency is more in the sense of efficiency of use rather than efficiency of speed. So it's more about making it more efficient to make more code for the programmer, because the programmer is the weak point now. Before it was often the computer. You had to make allowances for the fact that the computer couldn't keep up. Now all the allowances are made for the programmer because the programmer is slow compared to the computer. How to make it work for PAL NTSC? Oh, well, I don't even know because I mean I can my monitor runs at 60 frames, 60 hertz, I think. Maybe it doesn't. But like, I'll have a program running at. Let's if I just run fraps, we'll be able to see the. Oops. We'll be able to see the frame rate on Unity. Kind of. If I play it, it will work. Yeah. So the frame rate here is 230. Right, and it keeps changing. So I don't think my monitor's refresh rate even does anything with that, but I can, if I go in here and I just go, oh, how do you do it? Is it screen? Not sure. There's a way to cap the frame rate, essentially. Let me see. Oh yeah, okay. So application, target frame rate, set that to 60, and then I'll run the game. But yeah, you don't need to worry about PAL NTSC. It will all be handled by the operating system essentially. So yeah, see now it's limiting it. Obviously you can't really see any difference, especially on a 30 frames per second stream, but by doing that, you can save yourself a lot of processing power. So it was wasting those 200 frames. There's no reason for it. Some people say they can see 200 frames per second. I cannot, and you don't need it for a card game anyway. So, especially when the animations don't even go that fast. And yeah. So, for example, Guildmaster is is limited to 60 frames a second because, well, the animations don't go any faster than that. They go much slower than that anyway. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yakir G, welcome to the stream. You can use VSync as well. This is true. Yes, it's an option here, I believe. Is it here? It's one of these. It's something here. It might be called something different. But yeah, I think it's I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter for now. Let's take that out. Actually, might as well leave it in. Actually, it's the wrong place to do it, but I should do that somewhere. Cap the frame rate because it's wasting. It's just wasting processing power. Not that it matters really. That's the thing. Making a game like this, you do not really need to worry. If you're making something sane, oh, quality settings VSync count. Okay. Oh. Oops. VSync. Oh yeah, there you go. What do you set it to? Well, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to worry about that for now. That's it's good to know it's there. Unity calls every mono behaviors update every frame. Throttling processes there can really work well. Yeah, that's true. When I did pathfinding for Guildmaster, that's something where I did actually need to be careful about being efficient because, you know, every time you would click on a character, it would be recursively searching every tile one after another as it sort of expands out to try to see where the character can move to, and that would cause stuttering. Like if you click on the character, it would just be like freeze for like less than half a second, but it's noticeable. So yeah, there's all kinds of ways to make that more efficient, and that's where it really counts. There's no concept of palantir in the digital display nowadays. The video standards will standardize. Oh, okay. But yeah, so as just give you a moment saying, if I go to my custom animator class, which is here, yeah, in this update, so here, this is called every frame. I'm not sure exactly how that works. So how long is a frame? I think it's like, there's different versions of it. So there's like fixed update, which is slightly different. I can't remember exactly how they work, but so here in this, just if the animation is playing, it calls elapsed time, and this takes this float value, which is a number, and adds the time delta time. That's the time since the last frame, which can be different between each. It's always different, you know, because it's how long it took to render the last frame, and so this just measures whether the time elapsed has reached the frame delay, and then sets it to 0. I realize this is actually wrong the way I'm doing this, because if the time elapsed doesn't match up precisely with the frame delay, each frame will be off a bit. But this is not. It's not really important right now. The difference is notable. 3D with 30, 60 FPS. I agree with that. Definitely, you can definitely tell the difference. So. You're seeing this at 30 frames per second because that's what the stream is running at, but I see it much more smoothly. But yeah, it's definitely nicer to have it at 60. What's the motives for building this game? Hobby? I'm hoping to sell it at some point. But yeah, I'm a solo game dev, and I have made one game already, which I have on Steam. It's called Guildmaster. I'll put the link here for if I remember to make this. Yeah. So if you want to see the game I spent many years on before, you can check that out. But yeah, I'm streaming this basically for a few reasons. One, because I like streaming, and it's nice to share the process, and you know, it's good to raise awareness about the game as well, and get some ideas and get some help from many of the chat are coders, and they have helped out several times in the past. But yeah, I've just started out on this. This is like my 4th stream making this game. I'll just run through the game quickly. So let's make this maximize so you can see it better. So it's all placeholder graphics right now. So it's a card game, so we have a bunch of different options here. Let's fire some lasers. Let's fire some lasers again. It's all very basic right now. The enemy's playing some cards, shield boost, it's firing a missile. Let's fire our own missile. The graphics for this are a bit wrong. That animation should happen later, but it's in development. Let's use this evasive maneuvers now. If we call that, it should evade the next attack, which it didn't because I've coded this wrong. But you get the idea. Yeah, it's all still very much in development, but it's coming along. Oh, let's do a shield leech. That'll be fun. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it didn't have any shields. That was stupid. Dr. Okay, is this Drew Ellen or Dr. U Ellen? See, the process is really cool. Thank you. I appreciate. Excuse me. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's so. I really enjoy sharing this process. It's really cool. Yeah, and I'm hoping it turns into a fun game. Eventually. But yeah, it's still got a long way to go. Yeah, so it's been a couple hours and I'm gonna finish up soon, unless there's anything else anyone really wants to see. I guess I will finish up. So what did we cover today? I got very bogged down in trying to make to fix the projectile animation problem. Wait. Oh, Judge Groovyman has a thing. Edit settings, project settings, time. Oh, look at that. Yes. We can change the time scale and the frame fixed time step and stuff. Interesting. Yeah. That could be quite useful. So yeah, what did we do today? I got in the miasma of code and got very confused by my own nonsense and didn't know what to do. So I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix the whole action element system and delayed actions before the next stream, hopefully. Works a little bit on trying to figure out targeting. This is just brainstorming stuff, isn't it? If you increase the time scale, you'll be able to finish the game faster. Yeah, good for speedrunners. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. I'll be back next Thursday. If you want to see these, if you've missed any of this and you want to see the streams that will go up on my YouTube channel, let me just get a link to that quickly in case. Wait. Should have a command for this, but I'm still getting used to all this. So let's link to my YouTube channel here. This is the Jim Makes Games YouTube channel. I have Jim Plays Games YouTube channel as well. But on this channel you'll find devlogs and Q&A segments. Another thing, there hasn't actually been a lot of interest from the Q&A level of the Patreon, so I think what I might do is open up the Q&A occasionally to all the patrons when there are no Q&A stuff from the Q&A tier people, because there aren't too many yet. So yeah, I think they won't mind. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I'm going to stop rambling and finish up. So see you all next time. Bye now.